Hello, I'm Colie Otzel. Welcome to America's Salon Academy, the podcast. I believe that success leaves clues, so listen closely as I discuss life and business with some of the world's best hair artists. My guest for today grew up in Southern California, living life in the fast lane. You could find him surfing, skating, and getting into trouble. In 2004, he became clean and sober and believes that in order to keep his sobriety, he has to give it away. He started assisting Chris McMillan, who became his sponsor and eventually got his own chair at the salon in Beverly Hills, where he spent the last 15 years. Since then, Jason has gotten a second chance at life. He has a beautiful family and has grown his client list to include the leading men in Hollywood. After rising through the ranks in men's hair, he learned how to get guys camera ready, where he coined the name the Men's Groomer. Since then, he has launched a lifestyle brand, the Men's Groomer. If you have not guessed by now, my guest is Jason SCHNEIDMAN. Jason, how are you?
What a great introduction. I'm good. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you on here.
Oh, that was an amazing introduction. I'm like, there's nothing else to say. You killed it.
Thank you. So I just want to ask you a little bit about where you come from. I know where you were born and raised in Southern California, but give me a little bit of your background. Like, what did your mom and dad do for a living?
So both my parents are in the service industry. My dad was teaching high school biology in the inner city. My mom is a physical therapist that worked with stroke patients. And my parents are still currently married. I had a really great upbringing. It was kind of like I was me from the day I came out of the womb. I was just me. And I believe that that's how we are, and I was all about charisma and fun and, just a punk little kid. And high school wasn't the best for me. I would rather be surfing. So I started ditching school. At like 13, 14, I spent all my time in the water surfing. I grew up in, Southern California. And so when it was time to graduate high school, I barely graduated. And my parents were like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, oh, just go to City College. And they're like, school, you don't like school. You're not good at school. Why would you go to more school? And I was like, yeah, you're right. It sounds miserable.
Right.
And they said, why don't you pick a profession and we'll pay for it? And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And they're like, well, why don't you do hair? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't see myself as a hairstylist because I was, surfing and painting boats and working on cars. And I was like, God, that's not really a dude's job. And they talked me into it, and I went, and there was all girls at hair school, and I was like, this is amazing. I was the only dude there. And
Right.
and then I continued to do what I did in high school, where I was ditching hair school. And, I got kicked out of 5 different hair schools. And, hair school is a year program. It took me 5 years to graduate. But
Wow.
the good news was I got a lot of training from a lot of different instructors.
Right.
And I finally graduated hair school and still didn't. So I went on to deal drugs and do nightclubs and party all night and surf all day until that stopped working for me at 30 years old. And I was like, okay, time to become a hairstylist. And I put both feet in the boat, met Chris McMillan at a meeting of recovery. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, I heard you're the man. You do Jennifer Aniston's hair. And he was like, how long you been sober? And I was like, a week. And he said, get some more time, come back and talk to me. So I did. 6 months later, came back, and he gave me a job 1 day a week working for him. And back up real quick. So I started cutting my friend's hair when I was 14. That was something that I was doing. And that's why my parents were like, why don't you do that? But from 14 to 30, I did a lot of men's hair cutting. And so I kind of like had that 10,000 hour training going into Chris McMillan's. And when I got to Chris's, everybody was like, wow, your men's haircuts are amazing. And that's where I started picking up the celebrity clients, the runoff. And I can talk. Do you want to get in the middle of this for a minute or what?
Yeah. I would love to. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, go ahead. You talk and then I'll talk some more.
I'm very much enjoying your stories, though. You have so much to share, which is exactly why we wanted you on here, because your story is unbelievable and so inspiring. So how old were you when you actually knew you wanted to do hair? Like when it actually clicked, this is what I'm going to do.
I see. It's just weird because I was just doing it. I never thought about it. I just was like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And, it's like yesterday I went over to a friend's house who's building a house. And I'm like, bro, I got to help you buy the furniture. I'm very creative and I have a good sense of style. And I think, and I'm passionate about, design and shapes and all that stuff. So it was kind of installed in me early. But yesterday I went over to a friend's house and he bought furniture and it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. And it was decorated all wrong. They were pushed up against the wall and he wasn't home. And I went and I rearranged this brand new house and then I left. And it was like, I don't think about these things. I just go and I do it. And that's kind of like where my heart and my gut kind of drives me. And then I FaceTimed him after and I was like, bro, what do you think? And he's like, oh my God, it's amazing. So
wow, you're a great friend to have. Huh?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. I mean, would you be upset if I came to your house and rearranged?
Not at all. No, not at all. So what was your first love? Would you say like men's hair was your first real love?
No, I'd say my first real love was probably surfing and then probably marijuana.
Yeah.
And then cocaine and then sobriety. And now it's, my wife and my kids are the most important thing, but I say that because that's kind of like how it was, 13, I started smoking weed and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It just completely turns my head off. Yeah. And that's what I was doing from 13 to 30 was just turning my head off. And there's a reason why I was turning my head off, because it's a loud and scary place. And I wake up in the morning and instantly it's already like, poor me, or, I'm not good enough and all that stuff. And that's the head of an addict. And, it's a selfish, self-centered disease, alcoholism. And for me, I was taught that, we have to change our thinking and then we can stop drinking. And that's where I've tapped into this service work, because if I go out and I help others, I'm not thinking about myself. And I actually get to feel amazing and I get to love myself and I don't have to turn my head off. And that's what I was taught, in 2004. And that's what's been keeping me sober for the last 15 years. I hit rock bottom with crack cocaine in 2004 and, I'm lucky to be alive.
Wow.
I could tell stories of, taking a crack hit and hitting 9-1 and having my finger on the other one, thinking I'm going to die. And I'm just lucky to be here. And I'm grateful for the life that I've been given, and so I just keep doing what I'm doing and keep getting what I'm getting.
Yeah. That's really amazing. So actually what I'm interested in knowing about is I know that you do a homeless event and you were saying to me that it's the fourth Thursday of every month. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, LA, we have this huge homeless population, 60,000 people are homeless. What I'm doing is I go out and I try and find people that were where I was, where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They, want treatment, want help. And I have some resources, the recovery center, the structure that I went through. My friend owns one of them and he's offered me a couple of scholarships to find people and bring them in. And so it's a year program where I'll take a guy from the streets who's sick and tired of being sick and tired, just done doing heroin or done smoking crack, and he's just exhausted and he doesn't have the resources, doesn't have family to help. And I'll say, hey, are you ready? And I'll take them over to a house that's in Beverly Hills. And it's a year program. It's a beautiful house, and there's bunk beds, and they got 15 friends, and they go to 2 meetings a day, and they get meals. And it's a year program, and the Place Awakening doesn't allow you to work for 6 months. You have to stay close. And then when they say you're ready to work, they'll get you, help you get a job, fill out an application. And then at a year of sobriety, they let you move out with 2 other people. And so it's a really great structure. And so what I do is I go out on the street and I try and find somebody where I was and when I was done. And, so this fourth Thursday of every month, there's a place that's called The Source. And I think it's the county subsidizes a bit, and they offer, like AIDS testing, medical treatment, cell phone, DMV services, food. And they called me and they said, I heard you might be able to bring some hairstylists to do some haircuts. And it's about a year ago. And I posted up on my Instagram, the men's groomer, and everybody DM'd me and they said, I want to come. And so we've been doing this the fourth Thursday from 12 to 3. It's 7140 West Sunset Boulevard if you're in the LA area, and you can take work off. It's 3 hours, and there's about 200 homeless people every time lined up. And, last event was 3 days ago or 4 days ago, and we did probably about 180 haircuts, and there's about 15 hairstylists, and in 3 hours we just all cranked them out. And
wow.
It's a great event to help people, get back on their feet, second chance. Like a couple guys were, going to job interviews. I spoke with another guy after I cut his hair. He said he was going to go visit his kids. So it's super emotional, super, satisfying. I feel good. Everybody feels good. And it's just an amazing thing that we're doing one haircut at a time.
Yeah, I love that. I'm out of the East Coast, but I would love to attend one of these events and be there with you guys and support you guys. And I'm sure that anybody who's in the LA area would love to be a part of that event, because as a hairstylist, that's really what we're about, right? Like, we want to take the person and we want to make them feel great. We want them to feel like they're ready to conquer the world. It kind of changes their attitude. And so what you're doing is just very amplified of that. Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny. I was just thinking about New York, and, this is totally snowballing, and the homeless population, and epidemic is just growing. And, in a perfect world, it would be me traveling, going to places, putting it up on Instagram, saying, hey, I'm in New York, come meet me. And then we get a whole crowd of hairstylists. And then I leave and you guys are there and you guys show up your fourth Thursday of every month, So that would be really rad if we could start doing stuff like that. That's what I'm working towards, is just kind of putting this stuff together and actually getting people to come together as a community and help out in this crisis.
Well, we had talked a little bit before the podcast, and I told you everything about the mission of what we are with America's Salon Academy. That lines up with us perfectly. So if you come to New York or Pennsylvania, New Jersey on the East Coast, we would love to have an event like that with you. So you feel free to reach out and just let us know when you're available.
Yeah, I end up working a lot out of LA, and I travel with different actors. And whenever I'm in a different place, I'll put it up on my Instagram, the men's groomer, and I'll be like, I'm in Houston, come. And then people come. So, stay tuned. It's like I go out probably twice a month here locally, and, I'll be in Nashville on the 12th of November, and probably do a little haircut on the street then. And, so I just keep throwing it up on Instagram, and we keep getting this momentum.
So tell me a little bit about what it's like to go from being a drug addict to working in Beverly Hills, now giving back to the homeless people. When you look back at your life, what do you say to yourself?
Well, I had a friend yesterday go, "Did you know it was going to be like this? And did you have this vision?" And I was like, "No way."
Yeah.
I just, like I talked about earlier about doing hair, I'm just showing up and doing what's in front of me. And, I'm definitely grateful on the daily basis. Like, I used to have a car with warrants for my arrest, and I had, I would break down and I would have no registration, and the car would get towed and it'd be gone. And now I have AAA, and, I just don't have those fears anymore. So it's so amazing to be grateful on the daily basis, and then just be like, I'm going to do this, and then go out and make it happen and watch it happen. It's just incredible. So I keep coming up with ideas of how to help others, and just like executing it, and we get through it, and, you stay out of the results, and it's been amazing.
So talk to me a little bit about those fears. I know that you had said earlier, about like an addict's mind and how, you're not good enough or all these other things. So what are some of the fears that you had to overcome to get where you are today?
So, I mean, I was afraid of everything, it's like I said, it's just, you wake up and you're like, am I good enough? Comparing myself to other people, not entertaining those thoughts and recognizing them when they come is what I've been taught. So if I'm in fear, I'm not in faith. You can't be in both at the same time. You're in either one or the other. So when I'm in fear now, I recognize it. And I'm like, okay, what am I afraid of? And then I'm like, well, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. Well, what am I doing to take an action? Well, I guess I'm going to have to like conjure up some house calls or call some people and do some haircuts. And there's an action I can take. And if that feeling is still there after I take these actions, then it's something I can't control. So what I do is I just turn it over, and I'm like, please God help me. And it's just as simple as that, to not sit there and obsess and sit in fear, because it doesn't serve me. Fear does not serve me. It takes me out of being in the moment, and it takes me out of being present and happy. And nobody wants to be around somebody that's in fear.
Right.
It's just not attractive, and it's just sad. So I'm like, I recognize it, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And that's been really helpful for me. It's like, either there's an action I can take to get out of it, or I have to turn it over.
Yeah. I love that. That is so true, because everybody has fears. Everybody's afraid of things, but it's, being willing to take that step, or to take on the risk is definitely important. So you're a great example of that, just going for things and not letting fear hold you back.
Yeah, stay out of the results. It's good.
So what is a day in your life like? Like, if we were to just jump in your day today, what would that look like?
So I am busy, and I love staying busy. I used to have vacations. I used to have time off. Now I have hours off, and it feels like a vacation. So if I have 3 hours off, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm excited to wake up, and I make sure my house is in order. I put my cap on my toothpaste, I clean up, and I'm constantly doing things to make me feel good. Because if I sleep in and I lay there, it's like my head will get me. So what I do is I just take action. I get up, make my bed, clean my house. I get excited to go get coffee. Like that's excites me. And then I go and I do that, and then I do breakfast, and then I start running errands. And errands for me feel like a vacation. It's the weirdest thing. If I'm taking care of business, I feel incredible. And then I get to sit back at night and sleep with a smile, because I'm like, dude, I killed it today. So I wake up, I do that, and then usually I'm in the salon I'm in my shop. I just opened a shop in Venice Beach. It's on Lincoln Boulevard, and it's interesting because I grew up in surf shops, so it's got a little surf shop feel. There's surfboards. I grew up in skate shops, so there's skateboards. There's my neighbors call it the Moroccan swap meet. There's just cool like bohemian dude stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm making my own t-shirts, the perfect fit. I'm making the coolest like drawstring baggy cozy pants, and I got, you know, hats and sweatshirts and all this stuff that I made. And then we have the most amazing barista. My friend who's 2 years sober, I employed him as our full-time barista. And we have a barber shop and hairstylist under the same roof.
Nice.
So yeah, it's you call and the guy at the front desk finds out what exactly you're trying to get. Are you trying to get a bald fade? Or are you trying to get a hairstylist haircut? And we get them with the right person. And so I'm here 2 days a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Then I kept my foot in the door at Chris McMillan on Monday because I have a lot of clients over there that, you know, I'm still there on Mondays. And then I'm over at the Late Late Show with James Corden. I do his hair and makeup 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday. And then I'm doing all kinds of freelance stuff. Like today, I'm going to be at Jimmy Kimmel with Old Dominion country band. They're amazing. It's 6 dudes. I'll do their hair and makeup for Jimmy Kimmel tonight. And then I'm going to head to Nashville with them. And I'm working with Jay Shetty. You might know Jay Shetty. He's a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
He's got an amazing podcast. And I started cutting his hair. And I'm going to be traveling with him a bit. So it's just juggling work and family, and I get home at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I hang out with my kids, and they're just beautiful and incredible. And then I hit my pillow with a smile, and it's just another day. And it's just been like that for the last 15 years. Haven't ended up in jail or haven't got any of that stuff I used to get from doing what I was doing. So
you have such I don't know how to say this, like a childlike attitude that is so attractive, if you will.
Thank you. That's sweet.
I have an 8-year-old son. I have a 5-year-old daughter as well.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that, like he jumps in a mud puddle and it's like the best thing that's ever happened to him. And I kind of feel like that's how you are a little bit, is just really living life to the fullest as much as you possibly can, and appreciating every moment for what it is.
That's what life's about. It's a blessing, and you have to laugh and you have to have fun. And this morning I was laying there next to my wife and I'm like, I need a hug. I need a hug. Just like, my kids need a hug. Like right now I need a hug. Yeah. It was like, I'm such a child and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily immature. It's just this really fun, like lively, who you are. It's just, you're very fun to be around and to talk and have conversations with. You're very easygoing, as everyone can hear.
Thank you.
Yeah. But, I'm so happy that I've been able to have this conversation with you today. If you hadn't gone through all those phases in your life, you and I probably wouldn't be having this conversation. And I'm so thankful that your life and my life had led, to this moment, and we're both having this conversation. So thank you so much for being my guest and just being real and authentic and putting yourself out there and showing up in life every day. And I realize that time is extremely valuable. So I appreciate you sharing your time with me today.
Thank you for taking the time and hearing my story and carrying my message. One more time, if you get a chance to go to the Men's Groomer, I'll be putting up an event in a Thanksgiving one in November, and we're going to do another one in December to help people that need things and to put a smile on people's face and do some haircuts, put some hair on the floor. So thanks again for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Sure. And reach out for anything. Of course, we're on the East Coast. Anything you need, let me know.
Dope. Sounds killer. All right, guys. Happy Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. One of my stylists came walking up. He's like, Happy Thanksgiving. So happy Halloween. Is that better?
Close enough. Yeah.
Can you edit that? I sounded
Nope.
like a retard.
Nope.
I sounded like an 8-year-old. I guess it's okay.
It's all good. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye. For more salon and business education, visit americassalonacademy.com.